There is a deep and often misunderstood truth about love, especially the kind that touches a man's heart at its deepest core. When a man truly loves a woman, he is not just drawn to her beauty, charm, or kindness. He is challenged by her presence, not in a confrontational way, but in a way that changes him from within. She becomes like a mirror, reflecting back the parts of himself he has been avoiding, hiding from, or not yet ready to see. Carl Jung called this the awakening of the shadow, the hidden, unacknowledged parts of the psyche that a person spends much of their life suppressing or denying. When a man meets a woman who reaches into the depths of his soul, something ancient stirs within him. His heart recognizes her, but so does his unconscious mind. And the unconscious has its own rules, patterns, and fears. A woman's true love can touch a man in ways that shake the foundations of his inner world. Suddenly, he cannot hide from himself anymore. Suddenly, he cannot pretend he is as healed, strong, or ready as he once believed. Your presence, your authenticity, your emotional depth, your way of truly seeing him, not the mask, but the man, brings his shadow into the light. This is why deep love can create inner conflict for many men. Their heart wants to move toward you, yet their shadow pulls them back. His instinct may be to withdraw, not because he does not care, but because he cares more than he knows how to manage. You have stirred the parts of him he has been running from for years. Childhood wounds that never fully healed, insecurities hidden behind success and ambition, vulnerabilities concealed beneath strength, fears buried in silence. Your love becomes the force that uncovers what he has kept in darkness. In Scripture, light is described as a force that reveals what is hidden. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. Love carries a similar divine quality. When a man truly loves, real love does not just flatter or soothe. It illuminates, awakens, and calls for growth. It brings forth the truth, and sometimes the truth is uncomfortable, unfamiliar, or overwhelming. A man who genuinely loves you feels truly seen by you, not admired for what he achieves, but known for who he is. This level of connection forces him to choose, rise into the man he senses he can become, or step back until he feels ready to face his own evolution. Many men have never been taught to navigate emotional depth, to sit with vulnerability, or to face feelings that challenge their sense of control. So when a woman enters his life with a presence that exposes his shadow, his first reaction may be to retreat, not because she is too much, but because she reaches too deep. This often happens with men who appear confident or successful outwardly. The man who seems secure may crumble inside when true intimacy appears, not because he is weak, but because his identity was shaped around achieving, performing, and providing rather than feeling, healing, or revealing. It is one thing to be loved for his strength. It is another to be loved in his fragility. When you see past his armor, he may temporarily lose the control that allows him to function in the world. And with this loss comes the awakening of the shadow. In Jungian psychology, shadow awakening is not a problem. It is a turning point, the start of integration, maturity, and authenticity. But integration is active. It demands that a man face his fears, patterns, and old wounds. He must step out of the persona he presents to the world and acknowledge to himself the parts he has not yet owned. You become the spark for this transformation, not because you demand it, but because true love naturally calls for it. A woman's intuitive presence holds power many men are unprepared for. When a man looks into the eyes of a woman who truly loves him, he sees not only who he is, but who he could become. He feels both the invitation and the responsibility. He senses the weight of the bond because he knows genuine love cannot rest on shallow ground. Your presence invites him to grow, not for you, but for the sake of becoming whole. This awakening can awaken deep fears, fear of inadequacy, fear of failing you, fear of losing you, fear of being fully known, fear of repeating past mistakes, fear of vulnerability he has never faced. Many men step back because the intensity of this process requires confronting inner work they have long avoided. Your love becomes the mirror through which he sees both the beauty of what he feels and the areas in himself where healing is still needed. This explains why a man may act differently when he truly loves a woman compared to when he only desires her superficially. Surface-level attraction demands no inner change, but soul-level connection demands evolution. When a man feels that a woman touches his soul, everything inside him awakens: his love, hope, longing, but also his wounds, fears, and unfinished inner work. He may step back to process this awakening, consciously or unconsciously. His withdrawal is not necessarily abandonment. It is often the start of self-confrontation. It is crucial for a woman to understand that his shadow work is not her responsibility to fix. If she tries to rescue him from his own inner battles, the sacredness of the process can be disrupted. He must walk this journey on his own terms. You cannot heal his past, rewrite his childhood, or force him to face himself before he is ready. Your role is not to push him into his shadow, but to honor that your presence brought it to the surface. Often a man's retreat is a temporary journey into the wilderness of his own soul, a space to reflect on who he is, what he wants, and what he is willing to grow into. Just as in biblical stories, the wilderness is not a place of abandonment, but of transformation. It is where clarity arises, purpose reforms, and he decides whether to rise into the fullness of love or retreat into the comfort of his old self. There are times when a woman may feel love disappearing, when the man who once held her heart gently pulls away. The absence can feel painful, like an open wound, a question with no answer, an empty space where connection once lived. Yet beneath that pain lies a profound truth. Not every withdrawal is rejection. Sometimes it is a sacred rite of passage, an inner threshold he must cross to learn how to love fully, wholly, and deeply. When a man disappears, the heart that is untrained often reads it as abandonment. Yet the deeper mind recognizes something else is unfolding. In Jungian terms, the man is stepping into a symbolic wilderness, a space where the ego loosens, the shadow emerges, and the soul begins wrestling with itself. This withdrawal is not empty or meaningless. It is archetypal. Across myth, scripture, and the collective unconscious, the masculine spirit follows a pattern: retreat, struggle, revelation, and return. It is the journey of Moses into the desert, Jacob through the night, Jesus into the wilderness, warriors into the mountains, kings into solitude, and ordinary men into the quiet corners of their minds. A man's retreat often shows he has reached the limits of his old identity. Loving a woman deeply demands an expansion of self, an inner transformation. He cannot remain who he was if he wants to love at the depth his soul longs for. Growth, particularly for the masculine psyche, rarely happens in the presence of the one who sparks it. Transformation often requires solitude. A man steps back because the love he felt triggered an inner initiation. Something inside him realizes he must evolve, confront his fears, examine old wounds, and realign his life before he can stand beside her with integrity. This is why many women misunderstand silence. They see only what is missing: the calls that stopped, the conversations that faded, the warmth that seems to have vanished. What they cannot see is the inner terrain the man is navigating, the space where his soul wrestles with itself. His withdrawal may appear like distance, but it is often the outward sign of a battle he cannot yet articulate. In that quiet, he is negotiating with his history, past heartbreaks, old disappointments, failures, expectations he fears he cannot meet, memories left unresolved, and visions of a future that both excites and scares him. Your presence unlocked all of this, not as punishment, but as catalyst. For many men, disappearing is not about avoiding the woman, it is about facing themselves. True love calls for emotional accountability, spiritual responsibility, and psychological maturity. When a man feels these rising within him, he may instinctively step back because he senses he is standing at a threshold. Stepping forward now would mean stepping into truth, and truth requires a man to stop running from himself. His retreat becomes an initiation. Jung would describe it as the beginning of individuation, the process of becoming his authentic self. Individuation rarely unfolds in the presence of the one he loves most. The masculine spirit develops through trial, not comfort. The quiet may feel like rejection to the woman, but in truth, it is the most honest thing he can do. He is not leaving because she is unworthy. He is leaving to face what lies between who he is and who he is meant to become. Think of the biblical wilderness, a place where God strips a man of illusions, confronts him with truth, and prepares him for purpose. Before David became king, he wandered in exile. Before Moses confronted Pharaoh, he tended sheep in solitude. Before Jesus began his ministry, he faced testing in isolation. The pattern is clear. Great transformations often happen in quiet, hidden places. For the masculine heart, love itself can trigger the journey into this symbolic wilderness. His disappearance does not always mean the end of the connection. It may mark the start of a deeper journey. The man who retreats is not running from the woman. He is moving toward the man he must become to love her fully. This rite of passage may involve confronting insecurities, letting go of habits that no longer serve him, or re-evaluating the course of his life. He may need to examine his capacity for commitment, his beliefs about love, and the emotional patterns passed down from childhood. Your love awakened him, and awakenings often demand solitude. A man's withdrawal can also signal spiritual refinement. In Scripture, valleys are preparation grounds, not punishment grounds. He may need to seek clarity, guidance, or courage from a higher source. He may sense that the relationship carries destiny, and destiny requires readiness. Many men fear letting down the woman they love, failing her expectations, or committing before their own lives are aligned. His retreat becomes a sacred pause, a moment for God or the universe to shape him in the hidden chambers of his spirit. This rite of passage is not something a woman can observe. She might feel tempted to chase, to demand answers, or interpret silence as rejection. Yet the deeper truth is that restraint honors his journey. Love rooted in wisdom knows that certain battles must be fought alone. Interference could interrupt a transformation meant to bless both of them. Stillness is vital, not passive waiting, but grounded trust. A man in this passage is not lost. He is becoming. His disappearance triggers transformation in both souls. It challenges a woman to face her own abandonment wounds, anxieties, need for control, and fear of unworthiness. It calls her to strengthen her identity, deepen her spiritual trust, and anchor herself in self-love rather than someone else's presence. The wilderness can purify both in different ways. When a man withdraws, he does not return the same. Something inside him shifts. He may come back with clarity, emotional depth, humility, or renewed commitment. He may return recognizing the value of what he almost lost, or knowing he cannot continue living in half-truths. He may return ready to love more consciously, courageously and honestly, or he may leave with respect if he is not prepared to honor the relationship fully. Either way, his return reflects truth, not rejection, not avoidance, but the outcome of a journey through the wilderness of his own soul. When a man encounters love that touches his deepest self, a profound stirring begins. It is not merely emotion or infatuation, it is an awakening. Real love, the kind that reaches a man's inner world and calls forth his truest self, demands alignment across every part of his being. And alignment is never easy. It requires confrontation, introspection, humility, and transformation. When a man steps back in the presence of such love, It is rarely because he wants to avoid the woman. More often, he is grappling with the weight and depth of what he feels. His distance becomes a sign that the connection has awakened something in him that demands inner work. Many men are taught to see love as only about affection or attraction. But beneath the surface, love carries a sacred weight. It calls a man to be honest with himself. It summons him to integrity, maturity, and reflection. It challenges him to examine his patterns, beliefs, old wounds, desires, and fears. True love invites a man into alignment between his values and his actions, his intentions and his behaviors, his past and his future, his heart and his choices. This alignment cannot be forced or faked. It must emerge from within. And the journey toward inner alignment often begins with struggle. A man's retreat is not always an escape. In many cases, it is a sign that he has stepped into his inner arena. He is wrestling with himself, not the woman. He is confronting parts of his heart, mind, and spirit that have been unresolved for years. Love has a way of illuminating the hidden corners of the soul. Once those areas are lit, he cannot go back to old ways of thinking. Your presence may have opened doors he had kept locked. And while this illumination is beautiful, it can also feel overwhelming. Consider the way Scripture describes God's refining fire. It burns away impurities, so only what is pure remains. Love works similarly. True love is not only comfort, it is a catalyst. It reveals insecurities, purifies motives, and strips away illusions. A man who feels genuine love may step back because he senses he must face the impurities in his own heart. Fear of vulnerability, fear of inadequacy, fear of losing control. He knows he cannot bring half-truths into something sacred. A woman's presence draws him toward the highest version of himself, and that pull forces him to confront the lower versions he must leave behind. In Jungian psychology, this inner struggle is the clash between the self and the shadow. The shadow holds all the parts of a man he has denied, rejected, or ignored. Love, by its very nature, brings the shadow into the light. When a man withdraws after a deep connection, he is often wrestling with the unfamiliar discomfort of seeing aspects of himself he never wanted to examine. He may realize he is not as emotionally available as he thought, not as healed as he pretended, or not as ready for commitment as he hoped. These realizations do not mean he is incapable of love. They mean he is being called to grow. Growth requires honesty, and honesty often requires solitude. A man may step back because he needs quiet to hear the voice of his soul, something he cannot always notice amidst the noise of the relationship. He evaluates his motives. Does he want this relationship out of genuine calling or to fill loneliness? Does he love her for who she is or for how she makes him feel? Does he seek connection to give or to take? These are not simple questions. They demand sitting with the truth, even when it is uncomfortable. For some men, the struggle lies in reconciling past and future. Old wounds, habits, and defense mechanisms do not vanish simply because love appears. He may retreat because he knows stepping forward means stepping fully, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and ethically. He must break old patterns, confront long-held fears, and release the roles he once played. This inner alignment can feel like stepping onto unfamiliar ground, and the instinct is to pull back until he gathers courage to walk it. Women often mistake this retreat for lack of interest, but if he did not care, he would not wrestle. Indifference does not provoke self-examination, only true love does. A man who is awakened has everything to confront. His retreat is not weakness, it is proof of depth. He is not wrestling with a woman. He is wrestling with the version of himself he must outgrow to love her fully. Spiritual alignment is also at work. A man may retreat because he senses the relationship carries divine intention, destiny requires preparation. He may seek guidance, clarity, or strength. He may wrestle with whether he is in alignment with divine timing and purpose. Stepping forward half-prepared would dishonor both the woman and the higher calling. His retreat signals he feels the spiritual gravity of what is unfolding and wishes to approach it with reverence. For a woman, this phase requires wisdom. It is tempting to fill the silence with assumptions, anxiety, or narratives of rejection. But love flows in freedom, not pressure. If she chases him during his inner struggle, he may feel suffocated or misunderstood. If she withdraws emotionally, he may feel punished for needing space. The strongest stance she can take is grounded strength, choosing not to chase, cling, or crumble. Her stillness becomes a container for his growth. Her self-respect becomes a compass for his clarity. Her emotional maturity becomes an invitation for him to rise, not a demand for him to return. When a man wrestles with inner alignment, he is in the process of becoming. He may shed old fears, confront buried truths, or recreate his life from within. His retreat may feel like disconnection, but it is often the opposite. He is preparing to move toward her with integrity, readiness, and authenticity. He wants to bring his whole self, not fractured pieces. True love demands this level of alignment, and his retreat is evidence that he is taking it seriously. In the quiet of a woman's heart, she may realize that love cannot be forced, chased, or manufactured. It must arise naturally, like a flower in its season. Too often, modern narratives emphasize relentless pursuit, chasing someone distant or emotionally unavailable. But true love does not thrive on pursuit. It thrives on alignment, growth, and respect. A woman's role is not to chase a man's heart, but to cultivate her own, deepen her journey, and create space for growth within herself and within the relationship. The instinct to chase often comes from a place of insecurity, from the desire to prove one's worth or earn love through actions, words, and gestures. It is rooted in the fear of being overlooked, the worry of not being enough, or the need to fill an emotional emptiness. But chasing comes at a cost. It demands energy from someone who is constantly seeking, striving, and trying to get something outside of herself. It is exhausting and draining. Chasing is based on the idea that love must be earned, that another person's heart must be won or conquered. But love is not a conquest. It is a natural unfolding. When a woman understands this, she frees herself from the burden of pursuit and embraces the power of growth. When a woman realizes that her role in love is not to chase, but to grow, she taps into a deeper, more powerful energy. Growth is the opposite of chasing. Chasing is outward, reactive, and focused on what is external. Growth is inward, rooted in personal development, spiritual awareness, and emotional maturity. It is about becoming, not for anyone else, but for herself. Growth allows her to align with her true self. When she does, she becomes magnetic, not because she is trying to attract, but because she is fully being who she is meant to be. Too often, women get caught in cycles of chasing through excessive attention, trying to please, or attempting to become what they think a man wants. The truth is, if a woman is not secure in her identity, grounded in her own value, no amount of chasing will bring her the love she desires. In fact, the more she chases, the more elusive love becomes. The more she gives of herself to prove her worth, the less she has left to offer. Love cannot survive through empty pursuit. It must grow from a foundation of inner strength, self-respect, and personal development. True love needs two people who are centered in their own self-worth, committed to their personal journeys, and willing to meet each other from a place of strength, not need. A woman who focuses on her own growth becomes comfortable in her skin, at peace with her imperfections, and confident in her path. This alignment with her true self makes her naturally magnetic, not by trying to be, but by fully being. Growth does not mean perfection. It does not mean waiting until everything is figured out or until she becomes an ideal version of herself. Growth means committing to her own process, understanding her emotions, facing her fears, healing old wounds, and embracing all parts of herself, strengths, vulnerabilities, dreams, and shadows. It is about finding wholeness in every part of who she is. When a woman chases a man, her self-worth is often placed in his hands. She waits for validation, for proof that she is lovable, desirable, and worthy of affection. But when she focuses on growth, her worth becomes self-contained. She does not need anyone else to confirm her existence. She is grounded in her own love and acceptance. This mindset shift is liberating. It frees her from chasing, from giving away her power, and from expecting others to fill her emptiness. She becomes her own source of strength, peace, and fulfillment. The woman who grows does not seek someone to complete her. She seeks someone who complements her journey, someone who enhances her growth and respects the path she is on. Growth is about self-love, which is not narcissism or selfishness, but a deep recognition that she is enough. Self-love means nurturing her emotional health, setting boundaries, speaking her truth, and showing up for herself. It means becoming her own advocate, her own source of validation, and her own wellspring of confidence. When a woman is centered in self-love, she no longer chases because she already knows her worth. This attracts the right person, someone who sees her, values her, and respects her for who she is. Self-love also involves letting go. It means releasing attachment to people, outcomes, or circumstances that do not serve her highest good. Growth teaches her that love is not about control. It is about surrender, trust, and allowing life to bring the right people at the right time. When a woman stops chasing and starts growing, she becomes a force of nature, unstoppable, radiant, and authentic. The energy once spent pursuing love is now directed toward her own development. She no longer needs to prove herself because she knows she is worthy of love as she is. In that knowing, she becomes a magnet for love that is genuinely meant for her. Patience is key. Patience with herself, the process, and the timing of life. There is no need to rush. A woman focused on her growth understands that true love cannot be forced. It arrives in its own season, when both people are ready and aligned with their true selves. Chasing love only leads to exhaustion, disappointment, and frustration. Choosing growth allows her to step into her own power, trust herself, and trust the process of life. Love flows naturally to her, reflecting the love she has cultivated within herself. It brings peace, joy, and fulfillment, not as a chase, but as a reflection of the life and self she has built. The path of love is rarely straight. It is filled with twists, turns, and pauses that may feel like withdrawal. When a man steps back, it can feel like an unfinished story, leaving questions, doubts, or a sense of loss. Yet the deeper truth is that space and distance can serve a purpose. Sometimes a man's departure is not rejection, it is an invitation for him to face himself. If he returns, it will not be as he was, but as a man who has confronted his own fears, limitations, and potential. If he does not return, trust that God is clearing space for something better, something aligned with your true self. A man's retreat is often about him, not you. When love touches a man's soul deeply, it can stir unresolved pain, insecurities, fears of commitment, and uncertainty about his own future. True love demands transformation. It asks him to step into a higher version of himself, to face the parts of him that are unhealed or unprepared for deep connection. A woman's love, vulnerability, and presence can trigger this inner confrontation, which is why a man may need to withdraw. This retreat is not avoidance, it is self-exploration. In his absence, he wrestles with his own soul. He is not running from the woman, but from the parts of himself he must face to love fully. This process is sacred. It is his spiritual and psychological awakening. In the quiet, he can ask himself hard questions. Who am I really? Am I capable of the love I am called to give? Am I ready to be vulnerable, present, and committed? If he returns, it will be as a man transformed, more aware, more emotionally capable, and ready to love with depth. If he does not return, it is not punishment. It is a gift of space. God is clearing the way for something better, someone more aligned with your purpose. His absence is not emptiness, but possibility, a chance to rediscover yourself, deepen your growth, and heal what was once broken. You are invited to step fully into your own evolution, to trust that love will come when the time is right. The right man will meet you when both of you are ready. The tragedy is not the man's retreat, but when a woman clings to someone not yet whole, delaying the love meant for her. When she chases, she sacrifices her own growth. But when she trusts the process, she steps into her power, anchors herself in self-love, and aligns with God's timing. Her worth is not defined by someone else's love or approval. It is defined by her relationship with herself and the trust she places in God's plan. If the man returns, he will be ready to meet her as an equal, as a partner capable of depth, commitment, and love. If he does not, God is making room for someone who will honor, cherish, and walk beside her in alignment with her highest good. Trust in this process. It is divinely guided, and the space created by his absence is not loss. It is preparation for the love you truly deserve.